The day my family filed a lawsuit against me, I was sitting in my kitchen making tea, the kind of ordinary Tuesday morning where nothing feels like it is about to change. And then my phone rang. My solicitor, $2.3 million. That is what my own family, my mother, my brother, my uncle, had decided I owed them. I put the phone down, picked up my tea, and sat very still for a very long time. Not because I was afraid, because I was thinking about a man named Gerald Moss, the most expensive litigation lawyer in the city, the man my family had hired to take everything from me, and about something I knew about Gerald Moss that my family did not know I knew, something that was about to cost him the most important client of his career. This is that story, and I want you to know I never raised my voice, not once, not for a single second. I didn't need to. If you have ever had the people who were supposed to love you become the people trying to destroy you, this story is going to feel like it was written for you. Subscribe to Quietly Destroyed, hit that like button right now, and stay with me, because what happens in this story is not about money. It was never about money. It was about something much older and much more painful than that. My name is Nadia, and I need you to understand what this family looked like before I tell you what they did. My father built a small property business from nothing, 30 years of work, early mornings, late nights. A man who believed that what you built with your hands should go to the people you loved. He died in 2019, quietly, in his own bed, the way he had always lived, without drama. He left a will, clear, witnessed, legal. He left the bulk of his estate, the properties, the business assets, the investments, to me. Not because I was the favorite, not because my brother or my uncle were less loved, but because for 12 years, while my brother pursued other things and my uncle kept his distance, I was the one who sat beside my father in his office every morning. I was the one who learned the business, who managed the properties, who dealt with the tenants and the contractors and the accountants and the problems that come at midnight when a boiler breaks or a roof leaks or a tenant stops paying. I was there every single day for 12 years. My father knew that. His will reflected it. My brother did not agree, neither did my uncle. And 6 months after my father was buried, they hired Gerald Moss. The claim was $2.3 million. They argued my father had lacked mental capacity when he signed the will. They argued I had exerted undue influence over a dying man. They argued in writing, signed by Gerald Moss, filed in a court of law, that I had manipulated my own father in the final years of his life to steal what rightfully belonged to the family. I want you to sit with that, not the money, the accusation, that the 12 years I gave, the mornings, the evenings, the calls at midnight, the days I missed with my own children to sit in my father's office and keep what he built from falling apart, that all of that was manipulation. That my father, a man who had run a business for 30 years, who had negotiated contracts and managed people and made hard decisions his entire adult life, had been too weak to sign his own name without being controlled by his daughter. I read that document 3 times, then I called my solicitor, then I called my father's accountant. Then I sat down and I thought about Gerald Moss, because I had met Gerald Moss once at a charity dinner, 18 months before any of this. We had sat at the same table. He had been charming, well-dressed, the kind of man who knows exactly how important he is, and wants to make sure you know it too. He had spent most of the evening talking about his anchor client, a large property development firm, Crestwood Group. He had mentioned them at least 4 times. The kind of mentions that aren't casual, the kind that tell you This client is everything. This client is the reason the lights stay on. I had not thought about that conversation since the night it happened, until the lawsuit arrived, and then I thought about it very carefully indeed. Here is what I knew that my family did not know I knew. Crestwood Group, Gerald Moss's most important client, was a property development firm, and two of the properties they were currently developing were located on land that fell within the boundary of my father's estate, land that was now legally, clearly, undeniably mine. Gerald Moss was suing me on behalf of my family, while simultaneously representing a client whose most valuable projects depended on a cooperative relationship with the estate he was trying to take from me. My solicitor, when I explained this, was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Nadia, that is a conflict of interest." I said, "I know." She said, "A very serious one." I said, "I know." She asked me what I wanted to do. I told her I wanted to do nothing, not yet. I wanted to wait. I wanted Gerald Moss to file every document, make every argument, stand in front of every judge. And then, at exactly the right moment, I wanted to make one phone call to Crestwood Group's CEO, just to let him know what his lawyer was doing. The case ran for 4 months. Gerald Moss was everything I expected him to be. Polished, aggressive, precise. He presented their argument well. The mental capacity claim was built on testimony from a doctor my brother had found, a man who had seen my father exactly once, 18 months before he died, who was willing to say that in his opinion my father had shown signs of cognitive decline. My solicitor dismantled it in approximately 40 minutes with the testimony of my father's own GP, who had seen him every 6 weeks for 11 years, and who described him on record as one of the sharpest men he had ever treated. With the testimony of his accountant, his solicitor, 2 business partners, and with the recordings. My father had been meticulous. Every major business meeting for the last decade of his life recorded his idea, not mine, just a man who believed that what was said in a room should be remembered accurately. 47 recordings, every one of them available to the court. A man conducting business, asking precise questions, making clear decisions, laughing at the right moments. A man who knew exactly what he was doing and exactly why. Gerald Moss's doctor did not fare well under cross-examination. Gerald Moss himself did not show it, but I watched his face across that courtroom when the recordings were presented, and I saw the moment he understood how this was going to end. The judgment came on a Thursday morning. Will upheld. Claim dismissed. Full legal costs awarded against my family. I sat in my solicitor's office after it was over. She poured 2 glasses of water. Neither of us spoke for a moment. Then she asked me, "Are you going to make the call?" I had thought about this for 4 months. Whether to make it, whether it was necessary, whether the judgment was enough. I thought about the document, the one Gerald Moss had signed, that said I had manipulated my father, that said the 12 years I gave were a scheme, that said I was the kind of daughter who would steal from a dying man. I picked up my phone. I called the CEO of Crestwood Group. I introduced myself. I explained calmly, specifically without emotion, that the lawyer, currently representing their most significant property projects, had spent the last 4 months attempting to strip me of the estate on which 2 of those projects depended, that he had done so without disclosing this conflict to either party, and that I thought, as a courtesy, he should know. The CEO thanked me. He was very quiet when he did. The kind of quiet that tells you a decision has already been made. Gerald Moss lost Crestwood Group as a client 17 days later. I am told the letter was 2 sentences long. I am told he did not see it coming. My brother has not spoken to me since the judgment. My uncle sent one message, 3 words. You didn't have to. I did not reply, because the truth is, I didn't have to. But my father spent 30 years building something real, and I was not going to let anyone, not my family, not their lawyer, not a signed document in a courtroom, tell the story of who he was and what he meant when they left him alone every single day while I stayed. Here is what $2.3 million and 4 months in a courtroom taught me. The people who do nothing while something is being built will always appear when it is time to divide what remains. Let them come, document everything, record what matters, know what you know. And when someone uses the law as a weapon against you, learn the law better than they do. Loyalty is not invisible, it leaves a record, and records do not lie. Has a family member ever tried to take something you spent years building? Something you earned while they were nowhere to be found? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone today who needs to be reminded that the record always catches up. Subscribe to Quietly Destroyed. New story every single week. Next week. A woman discovered her business partner had been paying himself a second salary from their shared account for 2 years. She found out because of one number on one invoice that didn't add up. I'll see you then.